Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the IQ Podcast Studios. I'll be your host today. My name is Taylor Dunn, and with me, I'm joined by MarkChristopher Lawrence. How you doing today, Mark?
I'm great, Taylor. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for coming down. This is my first time hosting the show here at the IQ Podcast Studios, and normally what I come in here to do is to promote Crown City comedy. So that brings me to my next point. Our next show, you're going to be headlining.
Yes.
And we are so excited to have you at the Emerald Sea Gallery, which is this Friday, April 22nd. We have a lot of local acts that are going to be coming down. But real quick, we just wanted to sit down and kind of get some information from you. So tell us about how long you've been doing stand-up comedy.
I've been doing comedy a long time. I started in 1981.
1981.
I did my first 3 minutes, and the bug bit me. It's like you don't choose comedy; comedy chooses you.
Right. Absolutely.
Because once you do it, either you're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it.
Yeah.
And that was funny. My first 3 minutes, and that was for a show for a friend of mine called Evening of Soul. And then so I went to the Comedy Store in Hollywood after that and did that same 3 minutes, and it was funny. And that was the beginning. It's like the bug had me at that point.
So you started originally in LA.
Yes.
Okay.
I grew up in Compton.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I started.
Absolutely, man. That's my first time going to the Comedy Store in LA. I was 25 years old. It was the first time I ever went up there.
Wow. I think that was 17.
Wow. Okay, so you got me beat by a year because I started when I was 18. So I will tell you this though, my this is kind of a new thing that we've been doing at the gallery.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter is 6, and she is a stand-up comedian now.
Ooh.
Every show, she closes out the evening and she tells one family-appropriate joke.
Yeah.
And I always tell everybody, I let them know she's been sitting in the back of the room, but she's been wearing like gun range protective hearing.
Yeah.
And playing her Nintendo Switch, so she doesn't hear anything that's happening during the show. And as a deal for her being good, she always comes and tells a joke at the end of the show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, a lot of our people got, so she's got both of us beat.
Yeah, she did. At 6. And so what kind of jokes is she telling at 6?
If you would flip through like a joke book at like a Walmart or something, those family appropriate jokes, that's the ones she's telling.
And so she's got like a storytelling style, or
no, it's like a real quick one. She just goes up and it's
boom.
like, knock knock, who's there? And then she does it. And of course, she gets the biggest standing ovation clap of the night, and it makes her feel real good. And she was actually in an article that just came out promoting the show before my life.
Nice.
Yeah, so she's super excited about that. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, looking forward to being upstage by a 6-year-old.
So aside from were you always like driven into stand-up comedy, or did you just want to start as an entertainer?
I was going to be a lawyer, and because I had a teacher, an English teacher, that got me involved in speech and debate, and put me in my first play. But I ended up at USC on the debate scholarship, so my path was okay. I'll be a lawyer, and then I took a voice class for speaking and centering, and got talked into auditioning for the acting program at SC, and got in. I was already a junior, and luckily started work professionally that same year in theater and in film, and been doing it ever since. It's been, a pro actor for 36 years now.
Wow. And like when we name off some of the films that you've been in over the years, like Terminator 2, that was a big one for me growing up.
Yeah.
That was one that I was at my grandparents' house and they had it on VHS, and I used to always like watch it and rewind it, watch it again. That was one of my favorite movies growing up. But The Pursuit of Happiness, I mean, that was one of my favorite movies that's come out relatively, well, I wouldn't say recently. 2007 was a pretty long time ago.
Yeah.
But
well, T2 changed the way we watch movies.
Oh yeah.
Because of the special effects. It's like it literally changed the game. And like my first job was Hill Street Blues. It changed the way we watch television because all the cop shows now are patterned after Hill Street Blues.
Right.
Because before that it was very sort of storybook, and now it's slice of life. Okay. And The Pursuit of Happiness was fantastic. That was a great movie to work on.
What would you say out of your career? I know it's probably hard to make a name now.
It's a rap Spinal Tap, so it's a mockumentary of a rap group called NWH.
I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wasn't a good actor at the time, but it's the only thing that I watch and just laugh and have a good time because it's so ridiculous. It's like we were this fake rap group,
Mm-hmm.
and rappers come up to me to this day going, "Man, the way you did that, that's exactly the way it happens."
I have one TV credit to my name, and it's really embarrassing. I probably shouldn't even say this. My wife, if she's watching this right now, she's probably burying her head in our couch cushions. But I was on an episode of Mud Loving Rednecks, which is on Animal Planet, and it's literally exactly what you think it is. And to this day, anytime like somebody's like will Google my name, it will pop up sometimes, and it is the most embarrassing thing. Like I've never even seen the episode. I can't put myself through that torture.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Mud Loving Rednecks.
Mm-hmm. It was filmed in Alabama, where we're from, and it was right before we got married. And they tried. I'm telling too much, but the episode itself was a carnival mud bog marriage proposal.
So was there a monster truck involved?
No, it was a lot of four-wheelers and like Ferris wheels, like built out of plywood. It was, exactly what
my goodness.
the title suggested. But with that being said, they asked me for the whole marriage proposal scene. They asked me if they could use the actual like wedding band I'd gotten from my fiance. And I was like, at the time when I was 19 years old, that was like, I had sold my soul for that one stone in that setting. So I was like, oh no. So they went to Walmart and they got like this cubic zirconium ring. It's like 4 times the size of the one that I was able to afford. But enough about me. I'm sorry. We just went off on a tangent there. So you said you started stand-up when you were 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so when was your first gig as an actor?
1986.
Okay, so a couple of years later on down the road.
Yeah.
Would you say that you've kind of kept it equal like throughout your entire career? Like, have you always been more of a stand-up, or would you see yourself as more of an actor?
I think I'm more of an actor. I took 3 years off from stand-up at one point because I was so busy as an actor that I didn't have time to focus on it. And then I missed it so much that I was just like, okay, I gotta get back out there. And then when I came back, my act didn't fit. It was like, I was a fat guy in a little coat.
Yeah.
And I rewrote my act.
Yeah. I felt that way during the once like the COVID pandemic started. It was like a 8-month period that I went without doing stand-up. And we actually went back home in November of 2020 for Thanksgiving. And this is in Alabama. And I was able to get on a church show at the club that I started in. And not doing it for 8 months, it was just like
scary.
Oh yeah, I felt the rust just needing to come on. It was a lot of fun. The show was a good time.
Yeah.
It was.
But the audience don't know that you're rusty.
Yeah.
It's like you just know because your flow is a little different.
Absolutely.
And you're thinking about the jokes as opposed to just letting it fly and then new stuff popping out. And now you got to think about, okay, what's next?
Right.
What's the next line?
That's a lot of like we talked to them on this podcast quite a few times about like the structure of stand-up and like how it's like I compare it a lot to like martial arts, where it's something if you don't practice it a lot, you're not going to be as like in tune as somebody who does it all the time.
Yeah, and I noticed that when I've not been on stage for a couple of months, I had that little bit of nervousness before I go on. But then once I get going, then it starts coming back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's definitely a skill that degrades.
Oh yeah.
If you don't practice it.
Absolutely. Well, we don't have to worry about that on Friday night. We got some of the best acts in the city that are going to be opening up for you. I myself, not to toot my own horn, but we also have Kimball's Hume. I think you've met her.
Oh yeah, I've worked with her a couple times. In fact, I have her on one of my shows coming up.
Oh, awesome. We also have Walter Ford. He's a regular at the La Jolla Comedy Store. Really, really nice guy. We also have myself. We have Sue Shirey. Have you ever met Sue?
Sue, I did a show for Sue years ago and became good friends with her here at Coronado Yacht Club.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Okay. And then Christelle De La Rosa. She's going to be our host.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's going to be a really good time. I'm super excited for it. I'm thinking that this may be one of the biggest shows we've ever had. So if you don't have your tickets yet, you need to go ahead and get them right now. They're only $20, and let this be your warning. The seats are limited. If you've ever been to any of our shows at the gallery before, it is a tight-knit room, and once the tickets are gone, they're gone.
So get your tickets.
Get them while you can. Aside from that, unless you have any more questions for me, Mark, I think that pretty much wraps this up.
I have no question, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting out there and making people laugh. And it's nice to, be here in Coronado. I love Coronado.
I do too. I love this town. It's so calm, and I'm from a small town originally, so being able to just kind of take a nice break from the big city life every once in a while it's nice.
It's funny how that happens. It's like out of the years where I've been doing comedy and traveling, and early in my career, it's like I opened for a lot of people, so I had to drive to these gigs, and I found that I like the small towns better than the cities, the big cities, and so this is kind of get both best of both worlds here.
The small towns, I find that they almost appreciate it a little bit more.
Yeah, and people seem to be a little friendlier.
Yeah,
in small towns. So get your friendly butt over there and buy those tickets.
Absolutely. I want to see them in the seats. But we'll see you Friday, April 22nd, 7:30 at Emerald Sea Gallery. Tickets are $20, and you can get the tickets right now using the link in our Eventbrite. Once again, I want to thank you, Mark, for joining me here today. Also, thanks to the IQ Podcast Studios. We also have our show sponsors, Attorney King, Sycuan Casino, IB Fitness, and a whole lot more. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you at the show on Friday.